Now. All right, hello there. I'm actually enjoying myself with a cup of coffee here. I'm at Tino's home, and basically, this coffee is great. And he asked him what the secret
I
of this
made it
coffee is.
myself.
He made
Well,
it himself, but I have to tell you, it's uh,
but
it's a
it's
regular
it,
brand. It's just like
it's
store
instant
brand.
coffee. It's instant coffee. Store brand instant
It's
coffee.
actually the creamer. Well,
The
anyway,
cream is delicious.
indeed. All right, so guys, I want to introduce you to Tino. He used to be one of my consulees. And basically, I want to introduce you to him because he's one of the persons that actually came out of SSA, same sex attraction.
Thank you.
So, I'm going to introduce you to him. Tino, here you are. Here you are. How you doing, Tino?
Good. Well, thank you. Good
Okay.
morning to you.
Good morning. Hey,
Actually, good afternoon. It's 1 o'clock.
true. Looking at the clock, right?
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you something here. All right, so you came out of SSA. My question to you is, well, were you born with it, or this is something that you developed as you were growing up?
Okay, so you definitely not born with SSA. You're not born with gay feelings. Nah. And God is very, I mean, it's actually even in the word that he doesn't create people this way. But it develops actually during or prior to puberty. With mine, it sort of developed out of abuse and molestation and a lot of word curses from my own father. I
Okay.
did not get the affirmation that a father should be giving his son. Fathers should affirm their son's manhood, boyhood as they grow up. But if mine was deeply wounded because he would give me these word curses, he would label me like faggot. He would, and he did molest me. Was another, and that was the first time I actually got an erection when he molested me. And then he also called me stupid and other names he
Okay.
would call me.
All right. So basically, what you're saying is that it's the home, how you
The
were,
upbringing.
the upbringing at home, right?
Yes, the upbringing at
Okay.
home. Yeah,
Okay.
it's definitely the environment of the child has a big impact on his development when it comes to sexuality in a lot of ways. Um, you know,
Okay.
for
Understood. All right. So basically, what happens then? What made you? You seek out for help. I would assume something.
well, all right. So I didn't the the same sex attraction because started occurring. I noticed like when I got into the seventh, eighth grade, or maybe it actually got stronger in the ninth grade. So I was in junior high school when I started really noticing it. Prior to that, I remember growing up in elementary school. Was I was always attracted to the little girls, like my classmates, the cute little blonde chicks. I
Okay.
always had something for the cute little blonde girls in my school, and I knew I was attracted to girls. I had crushes on them, but then the molestation occurred when I was like 10 or 11, and that was actually and that time that's when a boy starts first developing his erections, and he's wondering I was wondering why my penis would get erect, but then when my father molested me one time, started touching my penis, and it caused the erection. See that is actually opens a demonic portal for Satan to come in, and sort of he cements that connection, which he did with me, grown man touching my penis, I get an erection, and there's a you that creates a bondage right there. So that's the cause of it,
Okay.
really.
All right. So we understand that now. And since that was established, then what happened as you were
Well, okay,
developing?
so I was going through high school and going through junior high school, and college. I would, I was repressing a lot of the feelings, the emotions. I was hiding it. I became very aloof. I became very, very much like a loner. Well, that's another thing my dad cursed me with. He told he called me a loner because I would spend a lot of time alone. Like, and the reason why I did that was because I want to keep everybody arm's length. Like, don't get too close to me, like emotionally, because I didn't want people to know what was going on as far as these feelings were concerned.
Right.
So I did keep a lot of my family kind of like an arm's distance, relationship wise, my own parents. You know, with my parents, I have a superficial relationship, more like a surface relationship, not a really deep emotional relationship. My father wasn't the kind of father I could go to and run to him
Right.
and talk to him about things, because he
Okay.
was always, growing up, he was always yelling and screaming and cursing, you know, faggot, stupid, loner, stuff like that.
So there was no emotional connection with him at all.
It was fear. Everything, the relationship with my father was based really on fear. So I was afraid of him. You know, to me, he was just a dictator. He wasn't really a father,
Okay.
you know.
Understood. All right. So then, what happens as you
So
went to
as I
college?
grew up, and I tried to date, and I got met a lot with, I met up with a lot of rejection from women. And you know what? When you're growing up and you're meeting girls, you're gonna get rejection, and that's just part of the more. No, I mean that's just part of life. You get
Exactly.
reject.
That's correct.
Girls reject. Boys reject girls. Girls reject boys. I mean,
Exactly.
you're attracted to a girl. They're not attracted to you. They reject you. And
Exactly.
same thing was going on with me. I rejected girls I was not attracted to, and there were girls that rejected me because they weren't attracted to me, and that was understandable. But like, I didn't really develop the confidence to actually pass through the rejection. And also a lot of times too, what I noticed about the because because the homosexual feelings would cause me to have a lot of self rejection and low self esteem and low self confidence. Subconsciously, what I was doing was I was attracting women to myself that I knew would reject me.
I see.
So, I mean, I'd meet certain women that I was attracted to,
Right.
but I had a feeling they were going to reject me. But I would try to go out with them anyway, and then
But then
and
you were
expect a rejection. So if
Right.
you expect women to reject you, they're going to reject you.
right. So you were setting yourself for failure.
Oh my God, I was so
Yeah.
setting up myself without realizing I was doing that.
But then you were beating yourself down with this, right?
Well, because that's all I knew, because my father did it,
Right.
and then as I grew older, I kind
Right.
of did it to myself.
So you were doing to yourself. Exactly. We understand that. All right. So what happens in college once you finish college? I mean, how was your
Well,
life?
so again, going from high school to college, what I started working on was really my sense of manhood, because it wasn't affirmed by my father. I wanted to affirm to myself I was a man. So it started causing me to be attracted to other men who were very masculine. And so I would want to have only masculine friends. I didn't want to have friends that were effeminate or
Right.
gay. I wanted friends that were guys who were the guys. You know,
Right.
they like sports. They talk about girls, and that was. And I figured, okay, if they became my friends, I could become one like them, and then it would make me feel good about myself about being a man. But that caused also a lot of but the same sex attraction
Right.
was right there too. I mean, I was attracted to these guys not just because I wanted to be like them, but because
And
there was a
this-
sort of physical attraction there,
and this
and
is-
also emotional attraction.
Right. So this eventually led you to encounter men, to be with men.
Well, I never lived the lifestyle. I knew it was always wrong. I mean, in the back of my mind, that when I was growing up Catholic, you hear sermons about Sodom and Gomorrah, and you hear sermons about like Romans chapter 1, and I think First Corinthians chapter 6 talks about that it's a sin. So I never identified with it, and I never lived
Oh, which is good, actually, right?
that lifestyle. Yeah, because to me it was like if it's an abomination to God, if it's detestable because the word Leviticus says it is, it's an
Right.
abomination to God, or some translations say it's detestable.
Well,
So
since you knew this,
I knew that. So
how do you live this, or how do you apply this? But you having this
feelings.
SSA, these feelings,
You
right?
just suppress it, and I figure that if I could go and try to meet girls and try to have sex with them, that maybe it'll just go away. Of course, that wasn't the case because
Mm-hmm.
there were deep rooted issues that I wasn't dealing with in my
Right.
soul.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, so yeah, my way of dealing with it was to repress it, even though it was somehow coming out. And the more you repress something, the more it comes up. But I mean, when I say it was coming out, I was finding myself like having male friends that I started having emotional, we call not a, what you call it, emotional,
Connections, bondage.
and not an emotion. It's a dependency.
Oh, okay.
I started
Okay.
having male friends that I started having emotional dependency
Dependency,
on,
right.
and not that I had sex with them or anything. I didn't. I didn't. Um, but yeah, that's the way I would deal with it. Was to try to suppress it. Try to go to bars and clubs with my coworkers to try to pick up girls, though I wasn't very good at it. I went to after college when I was working, I was able to pay for a psychiatrist, and that got kind of expensive, so I stopped going and it wasn't working. Then I tried to pay for a hypnotherapist, and that wasn't working either. That was got expensive too, and that wasn't working. And and then I would try to pray at night that God would take it away, the feelings away, and give me a wife, and that wasn't really working. And what the Holy Spirit was telling me was that you need to deal with what's driving the same-sex attraction, what's driving those emotions.
Right.
So I had to seek counseling. So I had to seek Christian
So
counseling.
how did that work? How did that came to be?
Well, it was the first time I realized that the feelings are there. The SSA is there because there's deep-seated emotions that I haven't processed or haven't really dealt with.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them was definitely the hatred issues I had against my father and the unforgiveness issues I had for my father.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I had to actually work on that. So I had to journal. I had to go to counseling. You had to go to counseling with you. Then I had to go to the support group meetings at Life Ministries on Fridays and
Right.
Saturday nights,
Okay.
and just keep journaling. As I journaled, God would bring things up from deep within my emotions that I buried for so long, and then I would have to write about it, and I would have to, because in writing it, it slows down the thinking process and it allows you to analyze what you wrote, and then you're confronted by, okay, how you're feeling
Okay.
at the moment.
Okay. So it was a combination of going to meetings, getting
Counseling,
counseling one-on-one with the counselor, and also
journal,
doing the journal, right? Writing down
right.
a lot of these deep feelings and
So yeah,
emotions
I have
that were
books of
buried.
them, books
Okay.
of journals.
So it was a whole combination. Now,
A combination of all three. You need,
right.
I believe you need all three. God uses all three.
So how long then would you say it took you to actually come out of all this?
That's it. It depends on like how deep the emotional wounds are
And not
how
only
much you
that,
need to
so basically what
legalize.
you're saying is it depends on the individual, meaning it depends how much time and effort.
They put in like how much. Okay, are they
Right.
going to counseling every week? Are they journaling?
Right.
Are they actually
Right.
going to group meetings, or are they going back? Are they living a lifestyle? But somebody living the lifestyle who's actually in a relationship, in a same-sex relationship, or is going to like gay bars. I mean, that's gonna take them
Yeah,
so much longer to
definitely.
get free.
Most definitely.
You know, I never lived that lifestyle. I never had like a relationship,
Right.
same-sex relationship. I never did,
Right.
ever, and I'm proud to say that. I mean, I had friends that I had like secret crushes on, but I
Right.
never had like a relationship where.
Okay, so what about now? How do you feel being free?
Well, Okay, so I feel like freedom is takes multiple steps. So though I'm out of the a lot of the fantasy and looking at the porn and you know looking at other dudes at the gym, but the next level for me that I think God's bringing me to is He wants to have me have He wants me to have reconciliation with my father because even though I love my dad, we have a good relationship. We don't really have a father-son relationship.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have this like
Understand.
deep, you know. He's not somebody I will run
Right.
to and tell him about my issues and talk to him
Mm-hmm.
about my personal
Right.
stuff. He's not that kind of father.
Right.
However, I think God still wants me to somehow develop some sort of close knit relationship with Him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you know, and I'm gonna try. I mean, I guess I should probably try better. I don't call him all the time,
Mm-hmm.
and he doesn't call me. Like
Okay.
actually, if anything, it's my mom who calls me to check
Mm-hmm.
up on me.
Okay.
You know, so okay, so where I am is I have the freedom, but
But there's still
there's still like this
couple issues that needs to be resolved.
well, God wants me to resolve this issue
Right.
with my dad, and He's
I
also
understand.
teaching me about. Now, I'm not in a relationship with any woman. I'm still single. I don't have a girlfriend. Or I'm not married. But God is sort of like I believe He's wants to restore some sort of reconciliation with my father, and in doing so, show me that in this relationship, it could transfer over to
Mm-hmm.
having a real relationship.
Understood. Okay.
Yeah, so
That's awesome. That's great.
I do, once you're free, understand that you're still going to get attacked.
Right.
But now you could distinguish that these feelings aren't yours.
Exactly. So there's something that comes from childhood.
I feel like the enemy knows that I have victory over what he tried to do to me as a child with the molestation and the abuse.
Right.
And because of Jesus Christ, I have complete freedom. But the enemy still makes me doubt because he attacks me from outside of me with thoughts. And I realize from just reading the word and from other Christians that even though these thoughts come, they're not your thoughts.
Right.
They become your thoughts when you receive them, accept them.
Right. And this is very different from what it used to be years ago when you were trapped on with the SSA, right?
Back then it was like
It's not
I would
like it's
always go for the thought. When the thought
Right.
came, I would go for the thought.
right.
Now I have the choice to reject the thought.
Exactly.
Like in the SSA, I mean, I remember when I was in that and was still working through my process, I would go to the gym, and if there was some muscular guy there that might cause me to have attraction, my mind could automatically go into sexual fantasy.
Right. It no longer
It doesn't do that.
It doesn't
There
go into
became
that.
a point where it stopped because I realized I had a decision to make. Do
Exactly.
I reject the thought and not fantasize, or do I accept the thought and fantasize?
Exactly.
So
big
it's gone
difference.
to just a huge difference. I could still go to the gym and say, "Hey, that dude there, he's a good-looking guy," but
And
my
it stays-
mind does not go
right,
into
it
fantasy.
does,
for it.
exactly.
When the past,
This is going to be posted to this ministry called Changing Lives Ministry. So we want to thank you for the time that you've given us to interview you. So one last thoughts to this ministry.
oh wait. So one last thought is that don't give up, because really it's your choice to get into freedom. This is like I gave my testimony before. This is not the cross you have to bear. This is not a thorn in the flesh. What same-sex attraction is bondage. It's absolutely bondage. So you need to work on your freedom. God, you can't pray the gay away. It doesn't work that way. You have to do your work. You have to do the forgiving part. You have to do the letting go part. Yes, and the counseling, the journaling, and the group meetings. You know, um, so it doesn't happen overnight where God just takes it like this. It is a process. So, um, you know, there were times when I remember I would like, you know, look at porn like once a week, and then I had to work on getting free from that. Victory.
Correct.
Then you go from once a month to once every 6 months.
Right.
That's victory.
Indeed, indeed.
You know, so so it is a process. So yeah,
Great, wonderful.
right.
Val, thank you very much for your testimony. Okay, so we conclude this interview. Thank
You're
you
welcome.
for being with us.
Thank
Bye.
you, Chris. Thank you.